Welcome to part 3 of the Let's Learn of Final Fantasy VIII. What did we do last time? We started at the Galbadia Garden after the whole Dale escape, and we went all the way up into finishing Laguna's second dream sequence. Today we're going to pick up right where we left off. We're starting off in Galbadia Garden. And at the very least, we're going to finish this one. We'll go farther. I'm assuming we'll go farther today. And that's interesting because it brings up the fact that we are going to be using the FF8 utilities program to figure out what the student ID number is going to be. So we don't have to go into the Tomb of the Unknown King. So I looked into the program a little bit before I started the stream. Figured out why I couldn't get that to work in part 1. I know now how to make that work for this. So we'll do that as the video goes on. And proof of point, we'll be able to show it before we actually get to that point in the video. I haven't watched the video up until that point. Those vamps were good, Freak. They were good. But it was a 108. Just saying. Just saying. Fee, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in, everybody. How'd that run finish, Fee? Welcome, welcome, everyone. All right. Let's begin part 3. I know, Frida, I know.
Okay.
It collapsed in us. I'm sorry, Fee. So, it's a short walk from that forest into here. But whenever you have the option to... You're going to want to be holding up to be running up. Because the trigger to exit the screen is all the way at the end of the screen forward. So yeah, even while the screen's shaking, you do have the ability to be running up. So you want to make sure you do that. You put a lot contributed towards that, Mr. Freet, for sure. Simple cutscene here. Alright, where are we in the notes? There we go. Now, when I was learning this speedrun, those gates were one of the first things that were confused me, because you sometimes forget which one you can go through and which ones you have to come back through. Okay, so right there in that screen, the center of Galbadia Garden, you want to kind of shimmy over to the left because there's a draw point right in the center of that room. And so if you just run up left, you'll run into that draw point and then have to kind of back around it and whatever. So you run into the waiting room. That progresses the story. And then there's a specific order that you're going to talk to people. So you can see Luz is running over to Zell here. You talk to Zell. Excuse me. And that brings Quistis in.
Thank you, Nightbox.
So after that, you go back to Zell and talk to him. Then Selphie, then Quistis, and finally Renoa. Then you just kind of wander around until the game progresses. That scream reminded you of Diablo. Were you not here when we fought Diablo? That was last part. Speedrun made it look easy. So this cutscene, you learn that Galbadia Garden is safe. They were told that it was an individual act and not part of Garden's fault. So Zell's relieved. Now here you also find out that Renault and Cypher were chicka wah wah. I'm sure, Freed, I'm sure. Ugh, these pixels. I love these pixels. Brings me back. so now he's just kind of wandering around. He's really into his head right now. He's like, oh my gosh, this is how they're going to talk about me when I die. I want nothing to do with this. And then you run out like a psycho. Yep. That's exactly right, Fee. You run out, back towards the entrance. You get this cutscene with Fusion and Raijin here. It's interesting sometimes how they decide to program the camera angle to where you still see just an arm of Squall, but he's part of the conversation. You know what I like about a choice that this game made? And I know I'm jumping forward here, but this whole game, Fusion is giving one-word answers or responses or just sentences, and that's the only way that she talks. And so you know that's got to set up for a time when she doesn't do that. But I like that they made it not a silly or joking time that happens. I like that it was a serious time in the game when that happens. I thought that was a pretty cool choice. Okay, so you watch out for that draw point again. You run out. And you're going to talk to Quistis here. Ooh. Tenths of a second lost because it wasn't a clean run through the gate. Tisk tisk. So once you leave this screen, it automatically warps you all the way. Well, it warps you a little closer. You want to come talk to Rinoa. Not talk to anybody else. And that'll start the cutscene. To learn about your mission to assassinate the sorceress. Boom, bum. Mm-hmm. Now, Rinoa's a little behind here because she's not actually a seed member, and so she's just trying to play along to make things easier with the situation. So you're going to learn that you have to assassinate the sorceress, you need a sniper. Insert Irvin. Or Irvine. However people say it. Well, I was listening to something in the background there. So we get his cutscene. Now, I don't know, maybe it was just me in first impressions, but whenever we get out of this cutscene and Irvin's kind of walking in front of people, he looks like an old man to me, just the way they have him sprited. I mean, I know he's like walking with his arms behind his back, but he's kind of hunched over. Alright, so once this whole text interaction is finished, you have the option to choose a party, but before that, Irvin makes his own call on what the party is, and if you allow him to choose the party, then you get a little bit of a longer cutscene. So you don't want that, because he's going with the all-girl party, or the two girls with him. So you say the second option, no, you'll choose the party. You do a junction exchange between Irvin and Selphie. You're going to leave and then go all the way to the train station. And that right there is the first time that the game kind of teaches you about switching parties and junctions. Train station's right there. Excuse me. And this is where we're gonna learn the caraway code. But before that, giant menu time. So you're turning your tents and cottages into Curagas for Squall, Irvin, and Quistis. You're turning the Samantha Souls into 60 triples for Squall, Zell, and Irvin. And you are turning the black holes into 100 demis for Irvin. Diablos begins learning Ink Half. You give all of Zell's magic to Irvin, and the rest to Squall from Zell. Anything that's left over. So that should split up the triples. So that Irvin will have 100 triples, Squall will have 80 triples. And that's because Irvin is going to be your main damage dealer for the rest of the game with his limit break. And then you heal Squall if it's necessary, along with setting Irvin and Squall to auto attack. Okay. Let's pay attention here. Once we go forward into this screen, at the right through the window, you're going to see poles coming through. And I'll pause the video and we can go through this as it happens. This is something that we're going to have to pay attention to whenever we actually do the speedrun. So Irvin goes in there to hit on selfie. You're not going to spend too much time in there if you can help it. So right now we see 1, 2 poles. Okay? So let's go into here. Oh no, where did I? Properties. Let's just open this. All right. Okay. So we saw 2 poles. And that gives you these options for what the code can be. Okay? Then there was a break. Now we count 1, 2, 3. Another break. 1, 2, 3. Oh. So I put the 3 up in here. Submit. Lessens the need there, or the many options you can have. Let's go ahead and black that out again. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 12. Man, oh man. That's a lot. So there's your 12. Boom, right there. That's your only option. And then let's see what else before he actually runs back out of the screen. One, 2, 3, then maybe 4. Okay. So I'm just going to cut that out. Have those in there. So it's going to be one of these 4 numbers. And we'll have to see what he actually puts in, because I'm curious myself. Because it's been, like I said, when I started this, it's been 2 years since I did my one run on this. And so I forget if the incomplete counts as the ones past the last one you put in or not. So we'll see. But it's going to be one of those 4 numbers. And then we'll work that out together. But in any case, you're going to go with option 1, whether complete or incomplete. We'll figure that out. And then if that doesn't work, you have your second option. You put that in. You're good to go. So we'll get back to that. Let's go ahead and continue the video. So you can do that in FF8 utilities, or there's also a website. And if I remember to, I'll put that in the description for the video. It's a pingvol website where you can just do it straight on there and not have to worry about using FF8 utilities if you don't want to. So with me using FF8 utilities right there, I had to put... Well, that might not be necessarily true. While you're mashing through the text, it's not like you have to instantly put in all those values. You have time until you get to the guard here in D-Link City, so it's no super rush to put those in. So, Zell has the punch of champions, rattles the train, whatever. End up in D-Link City, and we'll just we'll go through a little bit of a cutscene and head on over to Caraway's mansion. It's a nice run to the escalator there. Bum bum ba-dum. So it's a quick little screen transition right there. Okay. So he's going to put in... And there's another interesting fact about this. You go by the 1s, the 10s, and the 100s digit, I think, when you put this in. So you have to put the code in kind of backwards from what you're reading. Three, 7, 1. So he puts in 173. And if we pull that up, so he put in option 2. Mind blown. So that's something I'm gonna have to look into, to why he chose option 2 instead of option 1. It's a very interesting choice. It's got to have something to do with the other series. Huh. Yeah, I'll have to look that up. But okay, so he went with the last complete series. That's interesting. Point for later. Okay. For all I know, that could be a 50-50 shot, and he just decided to go with that because 173 was a little closer to having to scroll with. And then you get this insanely long story part where you learn about the mission, the 2 parties. You get into it with Caraway. Hey, Colin, thank you for the host. Appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. What's going on, Rakshawn? Sneaking in here. Alright, so after that little bit of time, we meet Caraway, Renoa's father. Consequently, a slightly annoying person to play in the card game, because in order to win... Oh, how is it? It's been so long now. In order for him to play Renoa's card, you have to lose the Ifrit card. Which is such a pain in the butt. So here, you have the characters walking, but you want to try to exit the screen. There's no trigger to where they have to get before you can progress to the next screen. You just go to the next screen, and it starts the next scene. So he's just hanging out here. They can do whatever they're going to do off to the side. Now, growing up, you might have just run to follow Caraway while he's going through this. But there's no need. Right now, he's just imitating where the parade float's going to go. And it progresses anyway.
Yo, shaded. Hello, hello.
Okay, so you have control of your party again here. If you wanted to go clean some things up, you could do that before the end of disc 1. But once you actually talk to... Well, once you go back into the mansion here, you're locked in for the rest of the disc. Had you wanted to get Lionheart weapon for Squall, you would have had to have your party set up in a certain way, but your last opportunity would have been during the Laguna Dream sequence too, so that's gone after you get out of that dream sequence. But that is a fun fact for those who didn't know. You can get Squall's ultimate weapon. You can actually get a few of the characters' ultimate weapon in Disc 1. If your parties are certain levels, you grind for certain items or steal them with Diablos. But it is a slightly specific requirement where you need some party members to be a certain level so that you can get laser cannons from Elastoids in the dream sequence, but at a medium tier level because you need to get Dragon Fangs from the Grendels in the forest where you do the dream sequence too. Because that forest isn't always a cutscene forest. It's a normal forest after the dream sequence. Hey, Joey, welcome in. Oh, you gotta love these graphics. All kinds of nostalgia. So, poor Zell, he doesn't get to be party leader. They give control to Quistis. Quistis and Renoa get into a tiffy. Well, I'm sure anybody who's played their own favorite Final Fantasy would recommend, just like I'd say, I recommend you try FF8. Oh, wow. So that's something I didn't know. That's quick. Okay, so that's good to know. So what he did there, and it was a weird screen transition. This part sticks you right outside of the mansion, but he ran back into the mansion to kind of skip those characters forward and then came back out of it so that he could go to the next screen and run all the way through that without having to wait on Caraway. Because you can see here he's trapped behind Caraway walking. That's good to know. That's new to me. So you are in charge of going through these screen transitions. You're stuck here, and then it's going to transfer control over to Quistis' party. Yeah. Okay, so they come out here. Quistis feels bad. And you're gonna run back to the mansion to go talk to Renoa. Poor Zell. Zell's trying to do everything by the book, be the good guy. No one follows orders or pays attention anymore. I feel bad for Zell. It's interesting. He shifted just a little bit there to the bottom of the screen. I wonder if the screen transition trigger isn't in direct line with the angle of the camera. Little things like that. So how they missed each other, I have no idea, but we're trapped in here. Now, growing up, I don't know if there was ever any hint that led to you being able to know how to get out of this room. It was just really a search adventure. Alright, so before we get back to that party, you got to go through this box climb, not just one time, by the way, in the run. Also, if you need a weapons monthly, you go down into that sewer, and there's that manhole cover right there. You go down in there, you can grab the magazine from there. And this is something that I'll have to remember because I tend to get it confused where you can come up on this screen. So let's see how he goes up the ladder here. Left or right side? Kind of upright, alright. Oh, that just triggers you there. Okay. Cue a dia. Oh, it's when the guys are coming up there that you have to run a little further. That's right. So you just walk up here with Renoa, get bodied. You know it, Joey. Here we meet Adia. You can see Renoa's slightly possessed here. For some reason, after Adia gets up, she's just stretching. She's just feeling the need to stretch. There's nothing here to really progress the story. And then we just walk through walls because we cheat. Like Yuna from X? I don't know. The hair could be throwing it off. Oh, Luz, stop watching stuff in the background. Alright, so this is where Adia asserts dominance over Galbadia. President about to get wrecked. Young bum. My favorite character from the Final Fantasy series? Oof. I mean, I'm tempted just to say Squall, but if I really had to dig deep, and if you include everything Final Fantasy related, I might have to say the Black Mage from 8-Bit Theater. Darn it, now I'm gonna have to go back and watch some of the original ones. You got me thinking about that. Have you seen that at all, Joey? You're Sid? I mean, it makes sense. Biggs and Wedge finds their way into a lot of games, too. Well, I haven't played that many Final Fantasies, Fee. Like I said, I did Final Fantasy VII once on stream, and I felt rushed through that. I touched one a little bit.
Yo, your Randomate.
13. 13-2. There's nothing special from that. And then just half of 15, which... So that's really all the Final Fantasy I know. But, like I said, I might have to say my favorite character is the Black Mage in 8-Bit Theater. Which probably isn't an answer you were expecting for your question. Alright, so you run over here. You pick up the glass. Come over to the statue, place the glass. Secret passage. Who the funk? Figaro Bros from FF6. Okay. And so I don't remember if there's step counting on this screen. There might be step counting on this screen, but there definitely is step counting now. So this is now where you have to move smoothly through this sewer. And from what I remember, it's just a giant U, an upside down U. So you're gonna climb up on that wheel. Open that door, and then when you start running up here, the parade starts. 1, 4, 6, 10, 10-2, and part of 3, 5, and 7. Openly am disgusted by it. Well, you've had your fair share of Final Fantasy, that's for sure. Yeah, I've seen 9 played a little bit, but it was never one that... I mean, none of the Final Fantasies I really was driven to pick up and play. I don't know why. Like, after having played 8, it would have made sense, like, oh, I gotta play 9, I gotta play 10, yada yada. I guess I was just more of a Star Ocean kid. Okay, so you just run, cutscene, run, cutscene. I mean, I will say, Fee, it has to be somewhat good for ESA to have the it's like 22 hour dagger only run this past winter. Today I learned you don't have to move in that screen. Okay. Yeah, the estimate was for 16 hours, I think, for dagger only. Or at least that's what the record time is. But it was on Stream 2 at ESA. And Stream 2 is where you can get away with a lot of stuff. And so it ended up turning into like a 22 hour run. And they were doing a bunch of other stuff during that run that had nothing to do with Final Fantasy. It was a great day. You're killing me with those right now, Colin. Behave yourself. Alright, so this is the second time you climb up through all those boxes, and you have to run a little further than what Renoa had to. So yeah, I guess you can't just run straight up into that. You have to go a little upright. So I'll try to remember that. And then there's an up left to climb up here. Alright, boss fight. Iguions. Iguions. Lizards holding carbuncle. Let's go with that. Alright, ideal fight, I'm assuming, is attack, draw carbuncle, attack. Let's see what happens. So you get the carbuncle GF, and you end them. You do pull the trigger with Squall. It's good to know. So yeah, that kind of damage is the result of the strength plus 60 on whichever character has that now. I'm not sure if it's Squall or if it's Irvin. It might be... I don't know. Probably Squall. But also having triple junction to your strength stat. Not calling you, darn well you run Evermore and you're just being sassy now. Alright, so that's your access port into the tower. You give the sniper to Irvin. Irvin gets all super quiet. A little bit of talking back and forth, and it sends you back over to Quistis.
Yo, that's FF8. Hello.
Go check on Irvin.
Let's see.
He's freaking out, man. I can't do it.
Yo, Shami, mate. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for the raid. Hello.
Alright, you come out of this screen. You want to make sure that you're still moving on transitions. Make that ladder fall. Go up. Go right.
Hello, hello, hello.
You get into a fight.
Nice.
Wow, cool, Joey.
Thank you, thank you.
Then it's a bunch of downs. This is more or less the top of the sewers, and then you just head on down through the rest. Yeah. I did want to start to pick up a longer run. Not one that I would do always on stream, but something I could do on the weekend. It kind of give me the motivation to have a long stream on a Saturday or Sunday instead of just not really knowing what time I wanted to start the stream or when I was going to wake up or whatever. I'm getting to a little bit more of a schedule. Make that ladder fall. You go right of screen. You go up here.
Second balance patch.
I don't know if you get into any more fights, but you're basically out of the sewers. Okay, one more fight.
The last top 8 in a world tour had 6 Akumas, I think.
Wow, Joey. Wow. A little unlucky, I guess, with the bats attacking. Oof. He's not happy with that.
Those encounters were bad.
Yeah, okay, he wasn't happy with the encounters either. So when you come up, it makes you get off the ladder, but you got to get back onto the ladder to go up. And we're just about at the end of disc 1. Two more boss fights coming up really quick, back to back. And then we good. Then I finally get to see the disc changing. Where to do that and whatnot. Hit it! Vino sec.
LOL, in 2 weeks? Really? Who is gonna win? What do you think? Is Atlan is there, right? Wait, if he wins, he would have won
The pressure.
Evo Japan, Evo American, American Evo and the World Tour. Like, it would be the perfect year for him.
Alright, so your party's still good to go from when you fought Iguians.
Yeah, but he has
Lizards
in
with
theory, he has
Carbuncle.
the points to be in the finals, right? So he doesn't care.
So, cutscene. Cypher fight. Attack. Cutscene. Idea fight. Attack. At this point in the game, with your low level and having triple and strength plus 60 and whatnot, you're super strong. And so, at least a few more of these boss fights are just going to be attack, 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 attack.
Dun, dun.
Poor Cypher. Poor Cypher. Alright. So no trigger there. Squall's normal attack is enough. You save a little bit of time not pulling the trigger. And we get our first
I have to
sorceress battle music. I don't think Renault is going to be attacking. It's just going to be a waste of time for her to attack. It's just going to be Irvin and Squall.
Come on. It is. No, it's not. It's not! It's not the fast fight.
So apparently there's different variations of this fight, which makes sense. And he's not getting what he wants.
Shit.
Alright. 3 attacks, all triggers. Well, Squall's triggered.
Would have been
Diablos learns Ink half.
would have been godlike, but
Awesome.
it was.
Welcome in, Queenie. How you doing?
Yo, the same happens in Dragon Ball. There's gonna be like a tournament before. With all the people trying to get the spot for the finals.
That's what you call a Diaz limit break. And dang.
This time is godlike. This time is godlike.
So he's not saving.
It's not a sub 258, but almost.
Well, I learned nothing off of that. I guess it's just go as quick as you can go.
I only have one sub 258.
But welcome to the beginning of this too.
That's the world.
He is roughly 38 seconds ahead of his old PB right now. Okay. So this is Laguna Dream Sequence 3. We have Laguna and Alone.
Oh.
So you don't talk to Alone there, and it automatically skips to this outside scene where you get her to run over, run into the pub, and you meet Kyros again. along with rain. Or rainy, however you pronounce it. 6:10 tomorrow's not just.
Dun, dun.
Cool, cool. Queen's got some free time. All right. So you go through some text. You choose the last option when Kyros gives it to you. And you have a little bit of junctioning to do. After the Adia fight, you start this whole dream sequence, and it seems to be that everything gets unjunctioned from you. And so for Kyros, you're going to put on Quetzalcoatl, Shiva, Diablos. You're going to junction it for attack-based. You're going to put item as one of your abilities, and you're going to equip strength plus 60% and ink half. But you can notice again, he runs out, lets the fade-in happen, and then does the menuing. Carbuncle goes on Laguna, and that's it. Ah, my mistake, Queenie. Okay, so my entire childhood, I always went one way in this goofy place. I had no idea until I saw the speedrun of this other roundabout way that's faster to get to the end of Windhill. In this whole dream sequence, you're supposed to be monster hunters. You're going to go all the way to the end of Windmill and then come all the way back. You can actually walk past this barrier, go down this little dirt ramp, and then all of a sudden you're on the last screen. Ridiculous.
Okay. Reach this.
So the guide says walk 9 steps before dialogue at end of Windhill. He doesn't do that here. So it'll be interesting to see. So he forces a fight here. I wonder why. Alright, I'll have to go back and count how many steps. That might have been 9 steps right there. It was interesting how he split it up. Might be easier to count that way. But it's also important to take note, he doesn't take the same route back through Windhill. He actually runs back the intended way. So yeah, this is definitely a different step path from what I learned 2 years ago. Go back into the pub, go upstairs, and you're more or less done with the dream sequence. Okay. A little more text. What you're gonna end up doing is you're gonna be running back around. And go to sleep in your bed in the other house. Now I'm trying to think, why did I not... I forget how much AP you need for Ink Nun. I guess Mug was 200. Ink Nun must be less, like 100 or something. I'll have to pay attention whenever he equips it. So once we get out of this dream sequence, he's going to make Diablos learn Ink Nun. We'll have a chance to see. Alright, so that's the end of Laguna Dream Sequence 3. We wake up, and we're in D District Prison. So yeah, I was confused. I thought the final random encounter you get into where you don't have a choice is at the end of this prison. So maybe it is, and you still just learn Ink Nun after this at some point. And you just don't get into a random fight, if you can help it. Which, yeah, I think if you play it right, you don't get into a fight. At the missile base. We'll get there. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, so yeah. Story-wise, you just had the dream sequence with Squall and Kiros. Ward was connected with Zell there. And we didn't get to see it, but Ward is actually working in the district prison. And so Zell now knows the layout of this prison. And we're going to use that fact combined with the fact that he doesn't need weapons to attack. He has his fists to kind of bust out of jail, get the weapons back, and then progress through the dungeon, if you want to call it that. And this place is tricky on movement because you need to try to get through here with as few encounters as possible, and all the floors are a disc with a barrier on the inside ring, and it's easy to get stuck on that barrier. So there's going to be a lot of direction changes. It's not as simple as just holding a diagonal to get around the barrier. At least it wasn't on PC. I don't really know what the analog stick is going to be used for here. We'll see. Poor Zell. Poor Zell. Mean, bad old Cypher. Couldn't do a single thing against the boss fight we had with him, but now has the strength to pick up Squall by his head and launch him into the wall. Ah, Moombas. Alright, so for the prison, you're going to want to open certain barriers on floors to make your path as short as possible. And you have options. There's only a set amount of barriers you can open, and you have options for them. And we'll have to see what he chooses here. But that'll be a little bit later in the prison. Oh yeah, Queenie, what you find out? Bum bum, yeah dum. So yeah, no magic. Anti-magic field is in use, at least for now. Poor Moomba. Fortunately, you just let the guard keep kicking him. It's faster for the speed run and makes everyone who runs this look like an awful, awful person. So what we've done so far, there wasn't too much else besides cutscenes, but I didn't mention when you were in the prison cell and Renoa was still there, you have control of Zell. You talk to Renoa twice, and that progresses the story. The other note is, like I said, you choose the second option to not help the Moomba. A little faster to do that. And then once it brings you back into the jail cell, we'll talk to Quistis, and that'll progress the story. There's no note here, but he's gonna have an option for what he's gonna tell the guard. Alright, so you choose to insult him. You choose the first option instead of lying. Seems to be faster. You run over to talk to Quistis. We go through this whole ordeal where they play sick. After this, before you actually go up to get the weapons back, you're going to go into your menu. You're going to switch junctions between Squall and Zell and Quistis and Irvin. Quetzalcoatl is going to be set to learn nothing. Carbuncle is going to learn the HP junction. And Diablos is going to learn Inknut. So, why HP junction? We need limit breaks. And the easiest way to get limit breaks is to have a higher max HP, because more often than not, if you have a character die or just get hit a lot and not cure them, you're going to have a greater chance of being in critical health. And when I say die, I mean you revive them and you don't actually get a lot of HP back from the revival. So nothing here. Carbuncle learns that. Ink None is 100. Okay. So 100 AP, no more random encounters. So you go up to floor 8. Get into this fight. You saw he was kind of shifting a little bit as he was running down. Like I said, it's not a perfect down right or down left or down or right. It's You gotta kind of maneuver around when you're in this dungeon. Did he get into a fight right there? Huh. That must be his route. Or maybe he was trying to get in a fight and that's why he was shimmying. It's nice. It puts your step count back to 0 right at the start of this. Interesting. I'll have to look into that. Alright, so you beat up both those soldiers, and then...
Okay.
You're brought back to the cutscene with the Moombas and
Yeah,
Squall.
then. Thank you, 8. Thank you very much for the soup. Hello.
And they help because they sense Laguna.
Good morning, thanks.
And if you're playing this for the first time,
I am
you
muted.
don't really
because
know
I'm
why.
coughing a lot. I don't know why.
Laguna Matata.
I don't have a cold.
What a wonderful
I'm
phrase.
coughing a lot.
Alright, weapons are back. Time to destroy the prison. First things first. I mean, it puts you into the menu to make sure your junctions are all right and whatever. You back out, Biggs and Wedge fight. And you need to pay attention a little bit on damage. So Quistis has everything that Urban did. But the levels of these enemies are going to be a little different. There's a little RNG in what the levels are going to be. So you're going to use Quistis to attack Wedge, who's the blue soldier. If she does more than 1570 and Wedge lives, you attack with Selfie to finish him off. And Zell is going to finish off Biggs. So 1646, he's dead. So you just have Zell attack and finish off Biggs. And I guess if he doesn't die, you use Quistis to finish him off, which means I think you need Zell and Quistis to finish off Biggs.
Okay, perfect.
Those notes aren't 100% accurate there.
This is great.
Always leaving Biggs around.
I need... If I do this correctly, the next walking part,
He's always pressing something. Alright,
then I'm set up for the rest of the game.
you're going up. See how he runs.
Yes,
So you have one shortcut here that's already built into
Hello.
it. And then you gotta run around. So he is hugging the ring. And once you get to about that door, maybe a little bit past it, you can just hold left and you'll just end up through the screen transition. You come up here. We're on floor 10. It's looking like he's using an analog stick, which I know you can't do on PC easily. So that's good. That makes this section a little easier. It was harder on PC to handle this prison, but for PlayStation, this looks a little easier to come around on that ring. So yeah, he's making all of these rooms. Now, he did get into that fight right before getting the weapons back. And that was just a single guard, and he's running away from that. That's nice. And I think he does that because A, it sets the step counter so that he's not getting a fight through all of these rooms, which is awesome. Plus he has ink half on now anyway. But also he these fights here, the monsters are released, so you could get into monster fights. And they can take longer. Especially if you get something like the SAM whatever robot and he's doing some Gatling gun attack or whatever. That takes a while for an animation. So you run in here, you see Squall, all rescued. You're going to learn that you need to go to the bottom of the prison, which you'll do off this elevator. But you need to talk to these Moombas. And you choose the first option and then the last option. And that unlocks floor 4 and floor 5. And you need that because after you see that you're buried in the prison at the bottom floor, coming up you get to skip floor 4 and 5, which will save some time. So Zell remembers everything there is to know about this elevator. He gets nominated by the girls here to stay up here and operate it. So yeah, you go to the door. I don't know if you have to press a button or not on it. But that sand pushes the door inwards. You hear gunfire. So the party switches, the control switches to Zell. And you need to know that as soon as it switches to Zell, you have a soldier coming after you. So hold down here so that you're running in during the screen transition. And while you're holding down, it'll get you away from the soldier so you don't get into this fight on this screen. Otherwise, it's very, very difficult to make it without getting into that fight. I did misspeak earlier, so you're not at the bottom coming up past 4 and 5. You're going to be on this floor going down through 4 and 5. And a slight, I don't know if this is an oversight in programming or what, but they were below Zell. But they came from the stairs above. Now, to me, that looks like a shotgun. But I'm just going to assume it's not, for him to be making these long-range shots. So now you're forced into a party with Renoa. You take Quistis. You do some junction exchanges between Zell and Quistis, and then Renoa, Zell and Renoa. So now you're going to go all the way up to the top again. I agree, Galtier. Welcome in, by the way, if you're doing well tonight. What's up, Sai? How you doing? Thanks for contributing the talents. Struck first, that's unlucky. Now, because your battle speed is so fast, I'm not surprised that he got hit twice by the Wendigo there. Wendigos have the craziest attack gauge out of a lot of these enemies. It feels super, super fast. Oh, I'm sorry you have a cold, Galtier. Are you on the upswing or downswing of it? Alright, so yeah, there's no more shortcuts running up to the top here. However, the other party, when they're running down to the bottom, you have shortcuts at floor 8, 7, 5, and 4, which makes it a very quick path. Which is good, considering that they don't really have the junctions that you do right now. Oh, with a cold. Thanks for making me look silly in the video. Appreciate it. Nah, I would have got it if I actually read the sentence right. Dipstick me. Alright, so you guys get to the top, and here you start running down. Ah, so he is going in here. So that's more or less a safety? Huh. Wonder why he switched junctions there. So he walks a little bit there to kind of help the step counter so he doesn't get into another fight. So yeah, like I said, you're going to learn Ink None relatively soon. It's at a point where you're not going to get into more random encounters. And the last encounter that you can get into is in this party right here. So he's switching junctions again between Renoa and Urban. You're going to run up here, and at least on the old step route, I don't know what it's going to be like here. This room right here is super, super tight on the old step route. But he didn't get into a fight here, so he's clear for the rest of the dungeon. And you have this boss battle here. So, yeah, he took the junction off of Irvin, put it all on Renoa. Renoa's going to use Angelo Cannon, and that's going to finish off the fight. So the missile attack, all that does is half your HP. And Quistis just attacks to finish off the red soldier. Now, ideally, you wouldn't have that attack, but like we did in the Elvaray fight, Quistis attacks there to buffer getting the limit break, because it's not guaranteed you're going to get the limit break chance. And you don't want to stand there continuing to press circle and going through other characters while you're doing that. It gives the enemies more chances to attack, and you don't give yourself as many chances to get your limit break. Alright, All right, Ron. Let's keep the hate level down a little bit, please. Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Check on that. There are no more people. Holy shit.
Well, I don't know, Sai, as far as the stats. It's not like you were going to get into a super, super bad fight there. That's something I'll have to analyze. I don't really think it changed anything if you were to take it off for Noah, put it on Irvin, and then put it back on Renoa. Although the last thing he did do was switch junctions from Zell to Renoa before that. So it might be moving more magic around. I'm not sure. Hey, Lily. Good morning. Welcome in. All right. So this cutscene here, you're running to the other tower to try to get out of the prison. You can game over on this screen. And what you want to do is you want to hold right while this cutscene's going on. Even now, just hold right just to be safe, because the whole prison is sinking.
Fist fights over Barbie.
And if you don't get over to the edge of the screen in time, you game over. And without having a save, run over. Yep. You can definitely... I can tell you from experience, you can game over here. That's the spirit, Fee. By the way, Fee, and if Freet's still in here, I don't know if he is, he might be sleeping. And Sai, since you're here too. When we racing Gaia again? Right now, please. No. Okay, I will say, however, that this is a great point to cut off part 3 from learning the speedrun. We definitely made some progress today. We started at Galbadia Garden. We just finished the D District Prison. We're in Disc 2. That's a good chunk of stuff. So thank you for watching this. Part 4, we'll pick up from this, and we'll go another hour and 15 to hour and a half. See how far we get with that. I'm not really sure where we'll end up from that. But we've got some interesting stuff coming up. We've got the missile base. We've got Galbadia Garden. And we'll work towards getting the garden mobile in the next part.